So I kind of think of today, we should talk about just where this all came from.
Yeah. It's a fun story.
And just chat about that and reminisce about that and talk about where, just throw shit against the wall and see where it goes.
And then edit it down to something usable.
Exactly.
So before I forget, I do have a story that I need to share with you. That's going to be out of sequence for what we're doing.
Yeah. Is it something we need to talk about?
Well, I think it will dovetail into the story.
Okay. Well, should we wait?
No. Because if
Till I'm not eating?
No.
Okay.
This will be me talking and you going, really? And because it will help move us from thinking about doing stuff to doing stuff. So you played in the Herman Saney Open, right? The
tournament,
the IGA tournament here in Johnston. And had a rough first day.
Yeah. Or rough the whole thing.
Well, sure. But where I entered the story then is I get the phone call, hey, can you help me?
Yeah.
Sure, what do you need? I need you to come caddy for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in my mind, when I hear caddy, I have a PGA Tour definition of what a caddy is.
Yeah.
That is not what you want. I did not know that.
No, well, actually it probably is, but we would have needed to practice that ahead of time.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yes, playing recreational rounds is much different than playing a tournament round.
Absolutely.
The course is set up much differently.
And that's such a partnership, like...
There's got to be some trust there.
You would need to be in on... You need more information to really do that the way you'd want to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Agreed. The way that I would want to do it.
Yeah.
Right? But so the story
I really just wanted a companion.
Yes. That's good
Somebody
information
keep me from
to understand
shooting myself.
now.
Yeah.
Right? So the long story short is I'm there and taking my job as your caddy very seriously.
I know you were.
Yes. And ready to do what I've seen on TV.
Yeah.
Emulate that.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking, how can I help you? Because I know how you play. Mm-hmm. Right? And we'll get into we may have already gotten into that, but we'll get into it. And so in my mind, I'm thinking I need to bridle this horse and stop it from hurting itself, which it's want to do.
Yeah.
And we'll just, run.
I mean, you're trying to keep me from running through breaking fences.
Correct.
Basically, yeah.
Yes, and trying to actually put you in positions to score.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, long story short, none of that happens, right?
No.
And so it's going to be a roundabout way of being complimentary. It's not going to sound like that, but just hang with me.
Yeah.
From my perspective, every time there was a smart play, you never did that. I mean, never.
Yeah.
Not like sometimes he'd go for it, and sometimes he would. It was always about, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, you hadn't had a good first round, so you're already way down the board anyway. Let's not do that again.
Yeah.
And let's have play a smart round and just see how well you can score.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I suspect from your perspective, you were probably like, I'm already out of it anyway.
Well, I was like, fuck it.
So let's just go mash balls.
Well, and I had tried to... Actually, the first round, I tried to play smart.
I knew you had some sort of plan.
Protective.
Yes.
And it failed miserably.
Right.
Because it's not my game.
Well, it may not be the plan's fault, right? The plan may have been correct.
No, the plan was great.
Right.
But it's not...
The execution of the plan.
But it's not that's not the way I play golf.
And that is where I was absolutely headed with this.
Yeah.
Right? So thinking that, I remember imploring you, like, Tom, you can hit a 5-iron 200 yards without even worrying about it, right? We're on this hole, we're 320 out. Why don't we get a 5-iron and hit it off the tee? Put yourself 120 out for a good wedge game, and you can putt fairly well. Nope. Driver comes out, bomb it way off in the wrong direction, and now we're under a tree.
Yeah.
And so, as that round ends, lots of unfortunate things happen along the way. Most self-inflicted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Some
all
Self-inflicted.
self-inflicted.
Yeah. Some just the nature.
Oh, it's
of
100% self-inflicted.
Okay. I would say some bad luck, some self-inflicted. And I go home, frustrated as hell. Right? Just like, who in the hell is this guy? Like, he asked for my help, and then literally didn't listen to a word I said. Like, why was I even there? Right? And we have a cart, so you're not carrying the clubs. Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And so it took me a little while to first of all, just
unwind,
sort of, calm down from it and be like, well, that was his decision, right? To do whatever he was going to do.
But you felt like you failed.
Well, right. Like, my job was to help you be the doctor and try to get you to do. Yeah. I failed you miserably there. You were in a very bad place mentally after that.
I had failed before we started.
100%.
So it wasn't,
So to wrap that up, where I ended up coming out of that with was actually a lot of respect for you. Not because you played terribly, which you did, but because clearly you had decided that what we were going to do, what the plan I thought was going to be, just isn't you.
Yeah.
So when we say with the Spraying Mantis brand, always go for it, that's not bullshit.
No, it's not.
For you.
Yeah.
I mean, that is 100% you are, I'm
everything I do.
And if I burn it down, I burn it down.
Yep. I was thinking about this, and it was fun listening to the Foreplay guys this morning because they were talking about Bryson DeChambeau, and he's my man. Because,
I would say your spirit animal.
Yeah, he is, because he is embodying the go for it mentality, and that's just how he's. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, everybody's questioning what he's doing, and to me, and I think he looks at it like this too. It's basic math.
Correct.
Because, okay, so think about this. So he hits it as far as he can hit it, and then he only has a wedge in. Well, how many clubs in his bag does he actually have to know how to hit? He has to have mastered fewer clubs in his bag.
In theory, the long irons aren't necessary.
Absolutely. So he only has to know a third of the clubs in his bag extremely well, because that's all he's using, basically. And if he's got to pull another one out, he can use it.
Sure.
But he's not going to rely on it.
They're all the same length.
Yeah, he's getting up, but just from a loft standpoint, that's the other part of his math equation that I'm not willing to accept personally. But so he's even eliminated one more variable out of it by having all the clubs the same length.
Right.
And so, these are all math equations I've done for myself way back in the past, because I'm like, I'm so much better off hitting it as far as I can and dealing with it than I am playing short and trying to hit a 6-iron into a green. If I can hit a 9-iron in, and so what if I have to hit it over a tree?
Yeah.
My ball's going to fly that high anyway.
Yes, it does.
So it doesn't really freaking matter.
Yes, and I've seen you do this.
Yeah, and so
100 times.
So it's just he gets it, and he and I are on the same wavelength on this, and it's fun to see. And the other thing that I love about it too is it's not the way anybody tells you to do it.
Correct.
And so it's really pissing a lot of people off.
Nobody could tell you to do it.
No, but a lot of it's pissing.
Enough.
Everybody wants to say it's not going to work.
Right.
And and I would even argue that if you look at what I did with my handicap last year, I mean, I've made it work too, not to the level he has, but I'm not putting the amount of time and effort he is in.
Correct.
And
it's not your day job.
No, exactly. But it's like, to me, there's just a clear picture of why wouldn't you play golf that way too? It just makes sense.
Sure. And the equipment's now in a situation where.
But even as a kid,
you can do that.
But even as a kid, I did it with wooden club, with a wooden driver. So I would sit down. The driving range of Hyperion used to be at the bottom of the hill where the tanks were, so you'd hit up the hill to the tanks.
Okay.
Literally.
Well, that's cool.
And there was no fences up there. That was just all wide open. And so I would go down and just pound balls, and I would constantly try to roll as many balls up onto that pavement as possible. And my whole goal was to always hit it past all the men that were down there. So that's all I cared about, was I want to hit it further than anybody that's on this range.
Okay.
And I want them to look at me like, what the fuck is he doing?
How is he doing that?
Yes. And be pissed off about it,
sure.
kind of, And so I've played that way since I was a little kid. I mean, that's how I played golf forever.
And no lessons?
Oh, I took some, but
in terms of trying to get distance.
Oh yeah, no, but so I have to give Greg Norman all the credit for that, because he used to, for either Golf Magazine or Golf Digest. I mean, as a kid, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have videos, we didn't have any of that stuff.
And they weren't widely available. The things you could find.
And information wasn't, even through teachers, information wasn't widely available. So there wasn't a special coach I could go hire to teach me this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I would roll up one of my dad's golf magazines, where I'd see, there'd be an article that Greg Norman would have in there about getting more power from your driver. And I would, and they would have sequences of his swing in that. And it was interesting. And this is this is what's so interesting too. So, with the skateboarding stuff, it was the same thing as skateboarding. Magazines had sequences of tricks that you would do.
Right.
And so you learned by emulating the sequences and trying to hit those different things. Same thing with my golf club. I would take that article to the range with me, and I would sit there and I would try to emulate that and work my ass off to implement that and get an extra little more out of everything I was doing.
Wow.
And so I just would do that. I never cared about scoring as a kid. I'm like, because it wasn't interesting to me. I just enjoyed being out there, and I just was, to me, it was about tinkering and messing around and seeing if I could do things nobody else could do, because it was always funny to watch people's reaction to me doing things nobody else could do. Now, I would tell you as an adult, I wish I would have listened at junior golf a little more and probably taken some more lessons and taken the opportunity I had to become a better golfer, because I probably could be a plus handicap now.
But why not?
But I didn't want it. That's not what I wanted. When we now get into the Spraying Mantis story, the backstory there tells you how my golf game got evolved and got to where it is.
Yes.
And why I'm comfortable continuously hitting the ball wherever it goes.
Yes.
Basically.
Right. So from there, we've played together. We've known each other for a longer time.
Yeah.
Then we've actually played together.
Yeah.
So it really was effectively 2020, a little bit of 2019, 2020.
Probably 2 golf seasons.
Yeah. Where we spent some time playing together. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you remember the round.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We have this round where we get paired up together.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this.
And if I remember right, was it on 10?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's on the left side of 10.
Correct.
Yeah.
When the moment happens, right? So the moment. So I guess we should show. The moment is I think I asked you the question. So something along the lines of, so who's the real you?
Oh, yeah. Well, so you were, and this, I thought about this conversation the other day, and I couldn't remember if I didn't have it pinned that it was tied to this whole thing. Mm-hmm. But you were trying to dig into me and understand if I'm a fake, basically.
Correct. That's 100% right.
Yeah.
Right? It's who is this person?
Yeah, because you couldn't believe it.
Right. There's this person that gets put out, and you put out your public persona.
Yeah.
And not you. I just mean people.
People. Yeah.
Right. Put out your public persona, and then when you get to know people a little bit more, you're like, well, that's not really who that person is, right?
Yeah.
And so, you hear, oh, I've been spending some time with Tom. Oh, he's a great guy. Or, oh, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And so right away, I'm sort of like, with the antenna are up, like, all right, I'm gonna figure out who this guy is. And so we have this fascinating conversation, which I wish we would have recorded.
I know, yeah. Too bad we didn't think about this stuff back then, Yeah.
And it's at that point on the 10th hole where I have gotten to the point where I've asked enough questions to know, well, am I really seeing the real you?
Yeah.
Who is the real you?
Because I remember you pressed me on...
Oh, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. You were trying to get me to admit that I present differently to different people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were basically saying, I can be friends in all these different groups. And I'm like, hold on a second. Which one is the authentic you?
Yeah.
And I think your answers were like, all of them.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was like, that's bullshit. Right?
Yeah.
There's no way. I think it actually is true.
Yeah.
Right? That there's a little bit
and after you made me take that personality test, the results of that say that.
It does. Agreed. Right? So it's very unique. So that leads to, at some point, not in that round, but in a different round, where you've done what you've been describing is you've hit this ball 3 fairways over.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, oh my God, why does he keep doing this? Right? Like, it's like the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Right? Not that it's not working, because it does.
Yeah.
Right? It just, to me, it has...
Well, it just doesn't, it's not traditional.
It is not traditional.
Yes.
And it sort of feels like if you have this ability to hit the ball 320 wacky, surely you could hit it 280 less wacky. Like, why wouldn't you just dial it back a little bit and keep your spray chart, instead of being like this, more like this? I understand why now. But on one of these, 2 fairway journeys, I was like, this guy just sprays the ball like everywhere. What? And I've never played with somebody that does this. Yeah. Well, 2 things. One, that has the ability to do it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't even think about.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
for openers.
That's what I think is so frustrating to people that try to analyze what I'm doing. Is like, why would you do that?
Correct.
Yeah.
Put yourself in this situation. So, two things about that. One is having the ability to hit the ball that far. Is fairly rare.
Yeah.
Right, for one. But then 2, to have the, whatever, fill in the adjective, courage, stupidity.
How about just the idea?
Sure.
Yeah.
To go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Is another thing. So we got to this a couple. I remember it was hole 4 at Hyperion, which there's a road along the right side for those who don't know the club. You hit it 2 fairways over, and we were driving over there, and we stopped at one point, and I was just like exasperated. I can't believe that this continues to happen with this person. Like, this can't be. He sprays it everywhere, and I think we were both still sitting in the cart, and because we had those prior conversations, I was comfortable enough to essentially flip you some shit.
Yeah. And
say, dude, you're like and it just hit me.
Yeah.
He's a spraying mantis. Right?
Yeah.
Using the praying mantis and the spraying part of golf.
Yeah.
And I remember distinctly, my memory of it is you were driving and you looked over at me and you just busted. It was this little period of silence.
Oh yeah, it was like, it was like this.
Uh-oh.
It was like this electric connection, you know, and it was like we both knew the second it came out of your mouth, it was like we were on the same wavelength.
Yes.
It was just
And for me, there was that little period of like, is he going to be like, fuck you, man?
Yeah.
That's not who I am.
Yeah.
You just busted out laughing.
Yeah.
And I busted out laughing, and then you said, that's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of where that came, where it came from.
Absolutely.
So there's this whole backstory of how you approach the game of golf, and as we've said in our branding, life.
Absolutely.
That's not bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And for me, what's happened since then is starting to look at my own life and go, well, where am I not going for it?
Yeah.
And why haven't I been?
Yeah.
Really, what's holding you back? There are real things in life that can hold you back from doing this.
But
less than you think.
I would also tell you though, you've got to pick where you do it.
For sure.
Like, you can't just go balls to the wall
everywhere all the time.
Every single thing all the time.
You'd be dead.
Yeah,
right.
you just there's not enough hours in the day and there's not enough gas in the tank to do that.
Correct.
But you've got to pick those places in life where you've either spent the time to develop yourself enough to the point where you've got the ability to go for it, and then there's other times you just got to say fuck it,
right,
and go for it, and you got to. But it's a conscious choice.
For sure,
you got to make the choice.
Absolutely. So that nickname, we both laughed about it, and I think we shared it with some people immediately.
So going back to the beginning of this conversation about the Sani tournament, I can't play it safe on the golf course. Mm-hmm. I don't.
It doesn't work.
I don't I end up hitting shots I don't know how to hit because I've never hit them before,
right?
And I can't count on them. Whereas if I'm behind a tree and I've got 60 yards to the green and I've got to hit over a 100-foot tall tree, I pull out my 56-degree wedge and hit it over the tree.
And you do,
because I know I do it,
and I've seen it.
Yeah,
and I can't tell you how many times you've been behind a tree and you're like, I'm going to go to this tree, and I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah,
and then there it goes. How in the hell?
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Yep.
How in the hell did he know that he could? First of all, how do you even imagine that shot?
Yeah.
First of all, second of all, then be able to go, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then be able to actually do it.
Yeah.
Right. There's 3 sort of toll gates there that most people don't even.
And I've got a whole very quick process I go through when I get in that situation.
God, please tell me.
I look at the tree and size it up, and I stand behind it and I look up, and I generally know the trajectory of each of the clubs in my bag just visually where it's going to go. I can pick a spot. And so I'll then look and I'll pick a point in the sky just above the tree, and then I've learned how to hit the ball higher is you have to have a more straight up and down swing. So you got to have a very vertical down stroke and a very vertical up stroke. And so I've learned that when I've got to go over a tree really high, I look at it and think, can I do it? And if it's probably at 80%, I'll go.
Okay.
If I think I'm going to maybe catch some tree, I'll still do it. I'll still try to go for it.
Sure.
Because there's still a pretty good chance it's going to get past the tree.
Yeah.
Or it might just get there.
Sure.
And so then I've learned you lean back on your right foot and you get all your weight back so that you're basically tipping your body like this, so that you're still taking the same swing, but a shot that would normally go like that is going to go like that.
Just real quick for clarification, we were talking about a vertical swing means very shallow. So shallow up and shallow back
to me,
down.
Shallow is flat.
Instead of arcing back this way, you're saying
you take your hands very abruptly up and down, both ways. Okay. Yeah. Yep. And so, but then you take that, you're going to hit it high anyway, taking that type of swing. But then if you lean your body back, you just opened up the trajectory of that shot,
even
so
more.
You can open it up even more, and you just leave your weight on your back foot and swing as hard as you can.
Yep.
And it's going to go over the tree.
Okay. Well, it's fascinating because again, it's like from my perspective, I've never even had that thought process or
Yeah.
even thought about it. For me, it's just there's a tree in my way, go under it. I've never even given consideration to, well, over does work.
To me, every obstacle is an opportunity.
For sure.
Or presents multiple opportunities.
Absolutely, right.
And it seems crazy to everybody else because they've never hit those shots.
Right.
But for me, the odds are probably better of me going over something than going under.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So thank you
Well, it doesn't make sense.
Well, thank you for,
Yeah.
I'm glad you pulled that thread out.
Yeah.
So we had just finished talking about where Spraying Mantis came from.
Yep.
Right? So we share that with some of our buddies.
Yep.
And it doesn't take long to figure out it's not just you
Yeah.
that is a Spraying Mantis.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
I mean,
would argue that
most golfers are.
well, but I would argue like you have a specific. Well, your approach creates that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mine is more exaggerated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that other people haven't either dabbled in spraying mantistry, if you want to use those words, or has felt as if, my gosh, today I am a spraying
Well,
mantis.
how about this? Either dabbled or dealt with.
Sure, right, yes. Intentionally or otherwise,
Yeah, exactly.
right? But like that ends up being something that either happens to you or that you bring upon yourself,
Yeah.
right? You are an intentional spraying mantis.
Yeah.
And are accepting of all of the consequences.
Well, and the fun thing is, when you came up with this, everybody got it immediately.
For you, yes.
Yes, anybody that plays golf with us, that's
No
played
question.
golf with me.
Yes, and it's likely, and I think it's likely true that in any group of guys,
Yeah.
there's one of you.
Probably.
It may manifest a little bit differently in what they're doing, but that exists,
Yeah.
right? So there's clearly a community of people out there,
Yeah.
right, that we are in search of.
Absolutely.
To say, hey, here's what this means, right? And we use this tagline, always go for it.
Yeah.
And it does transcend golf, by the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But at the end, but when you, to me, when you pare that down to, if you peel that onion back to what it actually is, it's about fun.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that goes back to, the promise I made to myself that I'm only going to do it if it's fun.
Yeah.
And
Right.
boring's not fun.
That's maybe the smartest thing you've said all day. But you're right.
It's not.
Yes, it's 100%. So this whole branding idea came about when we were like, this is bigger than just Tom.
Yeah.
And me observing Tom doing that thing. It's a whole community of people.
And I think this could be a movement.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen PGA players that have been a spraying mantis.
Yeah.
From time to time. And to your point, Bryson DeChambeau he's
living it.
Is that thing, accepting the consequences in order to reach that next plateau.
And there, even when you hear the commentary talking about him, like last weekend at the Bay Hill deal, when they were talking about the difference in approach, and it was like 16 or 17 where they were, both he and whoever he was playing with were in the rough, and he had a wedge in his hand, the other dude had a 6-iron in his hand, and
It was Lee Westwood.
Lee Westwood.
He's
Yeah.
Love me some Lee.
But he, the odds were way in DeChambeau's favor on that because he's hitting a wedge out of that versus a 6-iron,
Yep,
and he was only hitting it like 160 yards or something compared to 220 or 190 even.
Yeah.
And so that, it was fun to listen to them do the commentary on that, and it's fun to watch the world start to look at that math equation now and realize, okay, maybe there's something to this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and I really believe he's going to change the face. If we'll see how he does this week, but as long as he doesn't get hurt,
right, that's the big thing.
But they were even talking this morning on the floor play thing. There was something out recently where he's looking at his nervous system. He's trying to rewire his nervous system basically to do it even more. And I get that because they're like, that's what runs everything.
Yeah.
And so if you want to have your muscles move faster, you've got to change the wiring. Or you got to upgrade the wiring basically to handle more.
Strengthen things to handle more
Yeah,
load than
and so
they're used to.
he's I'm maybe not quite as scientific about it as he is.
Nobody is.
But I get exactly what he's doing because he's trying to optimize every system to get a little more constantly.
Right.
And he's trying to do it. And the other thing, and this is something that I need to make a point about too, because even though I'm always going for it, the second piece of that I don't talk about is sustainability is important. Like I don't want to be, it's not just one shot.
Sure.
I got to do this. I want to be able to do this for a long time.
Yeah. With 14 clubs.
Yeah, and so it's got to be sustainable, and that's what I think people don't quite yet understand about him is he's trying to do this sustainably too. Like for him, it's not just about hitting it further than everybody else, right. In one tournament. Mm-hmm. He's trying to fundamentally change the way he approaches the game, and he wants to do this for 20 years.
Yeah. Which I think that will actually be the more important part of it.
Yes.
The research that he'll learn from that part of it is more important than the ball speed and swing speed kind of things.
And that problem he will be solving, and it'll be interesting to see if he can do it. I mean, I don't know if he do it, but every week Lane's like, my back would break if I swing as hard as you do, and I'm like, well, you haven't done it long enough. I've been swinging this hard my whole life. My body is made for it.
Right. Yes, he's used to it.
And some people probably just can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people just don't have the frame.
Correct.
I mean, I'm blessed to have enough physical ability to be able to attempt some of these things. And if I didn't, I'd probably just still die trying. But
yes.
But I think that's what I appreciate about what he's doing is he's taking this completely to the next level, and sustainability is a part of it, and I can tell it is, and it's gonna be fun to watch this whole journey for him.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the genesis of Spraying Mantis, right? So we kind of started that based off of this fun thing that kind of happened.
Absolutely.
Which is how all businesses should start.
By the way, the other fun part of it is just the reaction of other people.
No doubt. Once they understand what it is.
No, right? Before that.
Oh, okay. Just the words.
Just the looks and the like. What's he doing?
Right. Yes. Well, it's funny because now with the guys we play with, if you hit a shot, you'll hear somebody else Spraying Mantis, and you know exactly what happened, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's worked into the lexicon of this group of people.
Well, and I would tell you, I think that the guys we were playing with look at things. They look at shots differently now than they did before too. I mean, they're trying things that they wouldn't have tried.
I can tell you, I am.
Yeah,
for sure, right? And it's just sort of like, the honest truth is, it's fun.
It is fun.
I mean, it just when you break it down at the end of the day, it's
and especially when it works.
Exactly. And it maybe doesn't work as much as you'd like it to. But when it does work,
it's like, whoa! I just did that.
I think I texted you the other day. I hit 293 as driving on the simulator. In perfect conditions. But like prior to adjusting, if I'd have hit something 250 in the simulator, I'd have been doing a victory lap, right?
And we'll get you to 3. We'll get you over 3.
That will be. I'm looking forward to the day.
It'll happen.
That happens, and I have no doubt that it will.
It's gonna take. You're building a foundation right now.
Okay.
And you gotta build that foundation to get there, but you'll get there.
Use a few of these to help get there too, right?
Yeah. Well, but no, I mean, you're like, what I appreciate about the way your brain works is I can tell you're breaking it down.
For sure.
Because like I text you, you got to put your ass into it.
Yes,
basically.
Correct.
And you're
the next one, 5 yards more.
Because that was after you hit it 277.
Yes.
Then you text me back 30 minutes later and you hit it 293.
Yep.
And it's like, so it worked.
And
tweak. So there's every next step leaves clues, and so then you just think about, okay, what can I do? What can I change? Or what am I not doing that I could be doing to get a little more like how ultimately can I get more strength behind the club head as it's coming through?
Correct.
Because I think for a lot of us, I would say, like for you got to get your club head speed up a little bit. But if you get your club head speed up and there's nothing behind it, as soon as it hits something, it's going to slow your club down and you're not going to hit it as far.
Yep.
So not only do you have to get that speed up, you've also got to get enough weight behind it that it will pound the ball out
a little more power
to where you want. Yeah.
Pounds per square foot or whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Smash factor, I think they call it.
Gotcha.
And so, you'll develop that. And really, the only way to do it, like, I will tell you, there's probably 4 sessions a year where I go over to the driving range and I just swing and I'm like a freaking machine gun because I'm just ball, and I don't even care where they're going.
Right.
I am swinging as hard as I freaking can just to unlock it.
Yeah.
Just to unlock the speed
You have
and
to
the
get
power.
there first.
Yeah,
right?
you got to unlock
then
the
you
speed
can,
and
You've
power
always said
first.
that.
Yeah.
Get the distance first. We'll dial in the rest of it
The
later.
distance is so much harder than the aim.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously, they're both important. Ultimately, most people would argue the aim's more important, and I'm appreciating that more now than I ever have. But you know, if you hit it right down the middle, 200 yards, I'm sorry, that's not the game I want to play.
No, and then I would think for amateurs, that won't win.
Well, it's just not
anything.
It's not fun.
Well, that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you're right. You won't get the result probably that you really kind of want, which is to improve your game.
Absolutely. Well, and which ultimately is having more fun.
Ideally.
Yes.
If you can do both, it's even better.
Yes, because first of all, if you're improving your game and hating it, why the fuck would you do it?
You go do something else.
Yes.
Go fishing.
Yes. So, I mean, that's to me, the root of all of this goes back to, if I'm out here doing this, I've got a lot of things I should be doing and could be doing and want to be doing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend 4 hours or 2.5 hours or 6 hours or however long a round of golf takes wherever we're playing, I want to squeeze every ounce of everything I get out of that time I'm out there, because that is all my time.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not wasting that time. And now the funny thing is, some people will see this and say, well, that's a giant fucking waste of time.
Yes. They may have a case.
But I guarantee you I have more fun on the golf course than they do.
Yeah.
And I could probably beat some of those people, not all of them.
Sure.
But
a fair number. Yeah, a fair number.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into the next adventure
Absolutely.
part of it? Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna need to use the restroom.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll
take a commercial break here.
Yes.
Spraying Mantis commercial on deck. I'll be back.
All right.